Oh, that's all right. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Um, yes, Power is not here with us today as he sadly has COVID. It's a last minute thing, so I will be doing the presenting today. We also have a surprise guest in the audience with you at the front wearing the UQ and Localis t-shirt is our client-facing team member, Elliot. Yes, so he's been able to come down today and he can answer any of your questions regarding the project or what we do at Localis later on in there when we have an intermission or something like that. Yeah, so I'll give you guys a rundown about me and then I'll go through what we do at Localis and then we'll get straight into it. I am studying maths and finance at QUT with some of you in the crowd, actually. And I've been working at Localis for about 2 years now, just coming up to 2 years, and primarily focusing on data and data delivery for our clients. I will begin presenting my screen just because I got a little slideshow for you guys. Want to figure out. All right, just can you guys see that okay?
We can't see that just yet.
Okay. Let me see.
We can see it now.
Yeah, sweet. Okay. Yes, so I will go through sort of what we do as a company and then explain what we're trying to get, done with you guys at QT and UQ. So, Localis. We are primarily an analytics company. We use multiple data sets to provide business and strategy decisions to a multitude of clients across Australia. We are a very technical company and we are looking to expand our business horizon into different fields of industry. At this point in time, our primary clients or target clients are local government areas where we produce data as a service products for them to create business decisions and data-driven business decisions. So I'll go over why we are in this industry and why it's important. Tourism and travel is the 4th biggest GDP contributor to Australia. It's an $80 billion industry and it is one of Australia's largest employers. However, the data and analytics in this field is quite limited because it involves a lot of social science and modeling that people don't really seem to grasp yet. Because one of the hardest things to do is to figure out who's going where and why they're going where, because it's so up in the air. And we are aiming to sort of bridge that gap, try to get more data to the industry. The pandemic, whilst it's affected a lot of businesses around the world, has actually been a blessing in disguise for someone for people like us in this field, because we've had a lot of situations, especially for our local government clients, that people aren't coming to your region anymore. And it's not good enough to just say people aren't coming because of COVID, because whilst that's true, there's a myriad of reasons why people aren't coming or they've changed their travel habits. And so we sort of aim to explain to these governments and regions why they're seeing a decrease or an increase in the people that they come. I'll give you an example. People from Sydney and Melbourne are no longer interested in traveling to Noosa, but that doesn't explain sort of why that's happening. Noosa and Sydney has been a very big part of Noosa's, Melbourne and Sydney has been a very big part of Noosa's tourism sector for a long time, and COVID shouldn't have changed that trend. It should have slowed them down. But as we're seeing a lot of people pick up travel to Noosa, we're finding that people from Melbourne and Sydney are not coming anymore. So what we're doing at Localis is working on ways that we use our mobility data, which is GPS tracking of mobile devices, to explain to these people in Noosa what's going on, how they can get more people from Sydney and Melbourne, and how to get their tourism sector back. Oh, sorry. Someone have a question or anything? I just heard something. All good? I'll continue. Okay, so I'm going to go over the project now, I guess. Let me see what's it. So we have just acquired some new data. I'll explain the data that we used to have before. Primarily, we were using a data set called mobility, which gives us idea of the types of phones you have, where your phone is traveling, and we had 9 million devices around Australia. And we used to track those people and give insights to local governments and other clients on sort of what people are doing, where they're going, how they're getting there. Our new data set that we've acquired is flight search data. And we've done some preliminary modeling for flight search data and traveling routes. And we've sort of found that there's some sort of connection or correlation between these two data sets, which allows us to explore the potential of predictive modeling in terms of using our flight search data to predict sort of how many people are going to be coming to a region. We've brought this out to clients like Noosa, Coffs Harbour Airport, City of Adelaide, and they've showed a lot of interest in this sort of technology and research for their day-to-day business operations. I'll give you an example as to why these people are very interested in this. A lot of the operators and a lot of businesses that operate within these regions have no idea of when people are coming to their region or when they're going to visit their business. So we've had a client in Noosa, for example, who has not had a holiday in 4 years because he doesn't know when to take off or when to add more staff. So he's always on there, he's always doing his work just in the hopes that it's a busy day. So if we're able to use flight search to predict the number of people that are visiting the region, it gives small operators like this across Australia more flexibility in what they do in terms of advertising or staff management and things along those lines. So what you guys will be having the opportunity to do will be you pretty much unrestricted access to some of our data. That will include the human mobility data, the flight search data, the accommodation data, and the demographic data as well. So it's quite a bit of a data dump, but we want you guys to have the ability to use that data to go away and create predictive models and assess viability of some of these things that we've been talking about to create almost like a product or a research paper for Localis. The second thing that we want you guys to do is to be able to present your findings to our board, indicating the validity of what you guys have done, and showcase your ideas of how you can productize your findings that you've made. And the final thing is, and it's still underway, so this will be tentative for the time being, is that we want you guys to also have the opportunity to go in front of some of these clients and explain to them what you've done in these projects, because they're very interested in what we're doing here, and we want you guys to have the experience of going in and showing what it's like to pitch your idea, because no matter what you're in a technology field or a business analytics field or marketing, you still have to get your point across to the people who make the decisions. And we want to give that experience to you guys. So do have a project team, and we're expecting around 3 to 5 people per team. We are looking for sort of a self-managed team, because to replicate sort of what's happening in the real world in terms of working in startups as well, we're trying to get you guys the opportunity to run your own project within your teams. So there's not going to be very much oversight in terms of our end. So it's important that you guys, when in discussing your teams and finding your teams, have a good understanding of the skills that everybody has, so that you're not underskilled in one section or overskilled in another section. So the three things that I think we found that is most important for this project are we need someone who can visualize data, someone that's good at design or user experience. Definitely need people who are good at manipulating data, doing research analysis, stuff like that. So something more on the data science. And another key thing is definitely business analysis, because the different clients that we have are not all in the same industry. It's important when you guys are creating your projects or your research that you keep in mind the industry that the clients are working in and sort of tailor your solutions to that industry. So we'll be providing you with, as I mentioned, flight, accommodation, and mobility data. And it would be coming in this format here. If you can see the picture on the right, we'll have these 4 destinations. Actually, we got rid of Cairns, so we're not doing Cairns. We're doing Brisbane, doing, oh, sorry, I just saw something in the chat. So we're doing Brisbane, we're doing Sydney, we're doing Melbourne, and we're doing Perth. So what you will get is flight data regarding traveling from Sydney to Perth, Sydney to Melbourne, Sydney to Brisbane, and then also from the other way, flight data going from Brisbane to Sydney. All these 4 routes, all these 4 back and forth trips. We'll also be providing you with data for the devices that we've tracked traveling from Brisbane to Sydney, Brisbane to Melbourne, Brisbane to Perth, and accommodation data regarding the Airbnb bookings and hotel bookings, occupancy of all these regions as well. We're trying to leave the amount of data that you have unrestricted, so you guys have the freedom to come up with your own conclusions and justifications. And really, apart from the model of prediction for flight, you guys are well free to go and sort of come up with anything else that you guys think might help your business case if you're trying to present some product or an idea to the client. So the data schema that you're receiving is the final schema of the whole data set will be something like this, but we've also decided that we'll give you access to our raw data. So if you guys just want to have a look at this for a little while, I'll let you guys understand it, but we will be giving this data out later on in the project, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks in, just because we want to go over in this first project just the few skills that people who aren't technically savvy might need, just so there's not a big skill gap in terms of when you guys are actually going through and doing your project. Just leave this on there for a little while. So we're going on to our goals and timelines. We are intending to have hourly workshops. So for the first one, it's a 2-hour-ish workshop, I believe, because it's a kickoff. Every week for the next 6 weeks, just to give you the skills and understandings of what will be done or what you'll be expecting to do in the project, but also sort of I wanted to tailor this around the skills that you would need if you're trying to become someone in the technology field, useful skills that you can translate to work. So a major part of this is trying to give students the opportunity to do work to do actual projects and work that you'll be doing if you were to move into a technology field. Because I've definitely found that in my studies, there's a little bit of a disconnect between what you learn and then what you end up applying. Some of it is useful, but a lot of the times, especially in a math degree, you're not out there, using pen and paper to do probability distributions or something like that. So we wanted to make it as practical as possible and give you skills in terms of what you will actually be doing. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this yet, but there is a workshop sort of prospectus in terms of what we'll be doing for the next 6 weeks. have a good look at that. I think for the first 3 weeks, we'll be doing more data cleansing, data and exploratory data analysis. And then a very important thing is week 4, we'll be going through cloud. We'll teach you how to use Google Cloud, because that's what we use at Localis, and how to access cloud data, just general stuff around cloud platforms and access and admin work in the cloud and how to store data. That one's a very useful one. I would very recommend coming to that one. And we're also expecting to be available all times via email for any guidance on what you guys need to do. We understand that this is a big project, and it is sort of in a field where there's not a lot of research being done or research done in this sort of line of work. So for you guys to go off of. So we want to be there to help you sort of understand what you need to do and what we're expecting. And our deliverables, we're expecting at the end of this project to have some Python or R models, or any models that you guys want to use, any software that you want to use. I think Python and R is our main stack for Localis. But if you guys want to use it, actually, I can't think of any other software you would use for modeling, but yeah, primarily Python and R models for your flight prediction. Also a findings report. We want you guys to go through the full spectrum of how to start a project, how to do exploratory data analysis, and also justify what you've done and why you've taken that route, because that's a very important thing, especially in the workforce, is the justification. That the solution or the model is one part of it, but the justification is primarily the thing that people are looking for. Because when you have a justified solution, you have accountability, and that's a very, very important thing. And then we also want you guys to be able to productize your idea. So this is probably part of the business analysis aspect of it, is once you've created your model and once you guys have come up with any sort of research based on what you're looking at, we need you guys to also come up with an idea that you can sell to clients in the industries that we've listed above. Something DaaS products, by the way, is data as a service. So things like, this graph is an early warning system for when you're about to have a low influx of passengers because of these models, blah, blah. So something along those lines. So these are the engagement clients, by the way, that we were looking to get you guys in front of at the end of this. A lot of these are government clients, except for Rex. So they're extremely slow at getting information back and forth. So it is still tentative. We're happy with this project and would like to get across it with you guys. So Noose is good. The rest we're still working on, but we'll definitely keep you guys updated in terms of what it is like with these guys. A side note as well is that when you're doing your projects with your groups, we're really looking for you to sort of pick one of these clients or pick an industry that one of these clients are in, and try and focus your work to tailor to the needs of what you would expect these clients to want. And I'll be going over that in the business analysis section of this presentation. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Before we go on as well, I wanted to leave it here just for any questions before we go on to the sort of the more hands-on approach for this workshop. Yes, the floor's open to anyone that has any questions for what they've just seen here. I'm not sure if you guys are speaking in the actual room because it's muted. Or just
We just had a question from someone in the audience here about whether they'll be taught all the skills they'll be needing to have for the workshop, for the project.
Yes. So we will be going, today we'll be going through sort of data cleansing and pulling using an API, just so you can get the data onto your computers. And over the 6 workshops, we'll be giving you all the basic skills of what you would need to be doing. However, there is definitely some learning that will need to happen if you're completely unfamiliar with coding. But hopefully there is enough diversity in your team so that there are some people who might be able to help you. But yeah, we're trying to get as much information to you guys in these 1-hour workshops as we can.
Got a question about organizing teams and how that will work out.
Yeah, so we really wanted to keep it flexible. So if you guys wanted to decide which teams you want to be in based on people that are around you, have a mingle. I think we're going to have an intermission shortly after this that we can sort of get to know each other and see if you want to decide your teams there. Or if it comes to the end of it and there's still a few people that don't have a team, I'll hand out a Google sheet probably with your name, sort of what your primary competencies are. And yeah, same goes for the Zoom as people as well. I'll put out a Google sheet that you guys can put your name and sort of where you are sitting in terms of like your primary business analysis or your primary data science, and then we'll try to organize teams that way, and then email you guys, because I think you've put down your emails based on the sign up form that went around on the event page.
Yeah.
So if your emails are on there, we'll email you with your teams, and then yeah, you guys can take it from there really. I guess that will have to apply to the Zoom people regardless anyway. So I'll hand out the Google sheet in the Slack if you.
Yeah, and during intermission, we'll give you a chance to sort of mingle if you're here on campus. If you're online, we can also create some breakout rooms. We do know that some of you have indicated that you want to be with particular people, and we can organize that as well. Does anyone have any questions in here? Or anyone else online have any other questions at all? No. Cool.
Yes, there is a question here from Trung. Yes, that's exactly right. So you do have your sort of primary purpose is to create the model for flight prediction. That's at the helm of it, but there are some stuff along the way, like justifications definitely have to be tailored to sort of what you're expecting the client to want to hear in terms of this is good for my company, or this is good for my business, or I can make these decisions because of the things listed in this report. And in terms of the productization of what your findings are, you can sort of extrapolate from your predictive models different sort of findings as well. So if you're saying, if your model is allowing you to predict that 10 people are coming in the future, who are those people? You know, where are they from? What are they like? Or whatever you can extrapolate from our data set, that's sort of what we would require as well. And everything you find out using that techniques or whatever will be directed to that client. So you wouldn't be telling an airport that you're expecting 10 people to fly from a plane, because they would have that data because they have flight search, or they have actual tickets. So you would sort of have to work it around this, like, oh, we're expecting these many people to be in the region, or these many people are searching on this date, and we're expecting that in the future there will be this many people using your airport. So things along those lines. We'll explain a bit further on once we get sort of used to the data set as well. and that will be done in the next few weeks.
Cool. Does anyone else have any questions, whether you're in the room or online? No. Okay, cool. I think we'll continue on now.
Yeah, sweet. So I'll just go over the business analysis approach because it's sort of so what I've been talking about for the past few minutes. Just trying to figure out how to share my thing again. And then I think we'll call it there and then have some time to mingle and talk to each other. And then I'll go through the data cleansing aspect of it. And then I'll share a code lab for you guys to work through as well. So that's probably the tentative plan. So all right. Can you guys see all good? Take that as a yes. Yeah, so the business analysis approach is what we've been talking about is that we need, when you're productizing something, it needs to fill a purpose. So what does a predictive model for visitation for flight look like for a local government area like Noosa? What does it indicate to an airline company or a hotel? These are the things you have to answer in order for you guys to come up with something viable for the clients that you're choosing to work with, or theoretically choosing to work with. It's very important to keep in mind the goals of your client and justify your findings to sort of explain to them that their needs are going to be suffice with what you've come up with here. And I think that reiterated a few times, so there's not really much to go over anymore, but that's really the primary aspect of it is you need to come up with something that not just amazing research, but has a tangible benefit for someone who is sitting at the end of this research and trying to make decisions. So try and ask questions around what type of decisions these people will be making. What are they looking for? What will help them sort of do their job better or improve the lives of the people that they're looking for or making these decisions for? Like I mentioned before, I'll actually give you a story about Noosa. Saying Noosa so many times. They're our favorite client, by the way, if you guys couldn't tell. They had, I think, an 80% decline in backpackers due to the coronavirus last year. And what they didn't realize is that a majority of their backpacking industry was also their working industry. So there was a customer, there was a business, there was a small restaurant on Hastings Street, which is the main street of Noosa, that had to shut down, and it hasn't closed its doors. It's been operating from day one, every single day, since the early 80s, but they had to close down because they had no staff. It is Noosa's responsibility as the local governing body to accommodate for stuff like this and to apply for grants, apply for budget reconsiderations from local governments, the state government actually, to help people in their region who are going through these times. And Localis sort of provided that data for them to justify why they need the money or why they needed support from the government. So that's sort of along the lines of the questions you should be asking yourself, like how would someone in this industry be helping the people in their region, or how can I use this data to improve my job? Other than that, I think that covers the business analysis. I think the next slide. Yeah, so we're going into data cleansing next. I'll just give you guys a breather because I've been talking a lot and I'm sure there's a lot of information. I will be available if you guys want to have any questions you ask. I think there's a few questions in the chat as well. Oh yeah, so yeah, I'll be on the Zoom chat. I'm happy to have a chat about what any questions or any other clarifications. I'm not sure how long QT and UQ want to have this little intermission period for, but I'm sure they'll explain that to you, and then we can go straight into the data cleansing aspect after this. Thank you very much. Let's try and stop sharing.
Yeah, so we'll just go for like a 15-minute intermission, give people the chance to mingle in the room. If you're online, we can create some breakout rooms as well if you're interested in setting up teams on there. And then your Ruben will also be online to answer any questions if you have any. Did those people online want to be put into breakout rooms at all? Yes, so you will have access to those PowerPoint slides later on.
What's up?
Awesome. To those online, we have just created breakout rooms. So you can choose to pick a breakout room if you'd like, just by clicking the breakout rooms button in the tab section for your tools. As well as that, we've also just put on the Slack channel an Excel sheet as well. So if you already have a team or people in your team, feel free to add your names to that sheet there. It is on Slack. If you haven't joined on Slack, Joe will pop that invite link into the Zoom chat as well.
Oh no, the link isn't there.
Oh, the link is
Oh, they put the link.
there's a Google Docs.
Oh, where did they put that?
It's in Slack.
Okay, all right, everybody. We're just gonna resume the session soon. We're just gonna check any questions on Zoom. All right, cool. Yeah, we're just gonna resume the workshop now, everybody. So yeah, we're just gonna check if there are any other questions on the Zoom chat that Ruben can answer as well. Yeah, Steve. So yeah, as I said before, if you don't have a team by the end of this workshop, we can help you assign you one as well. Cool. Are there any other questions at all from anyone on Zoom? Feel free to chuck it in the chat. I think I've closed Zoom. I think I jumped onto your laptop and. Okay. Yep. I'll hand back over to Ruben if he's still here now.
Yeah, all good, mate. I'm still.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark, but yes.
I will just address something as well. One of the breakout rooms, someone had a question about exactly what you'd be delivering. So that was a good question. I'll get a document ready for you guys in the coming weeks just to go over. Oh, sorry, I think I'm cutting out. Sorry. Yeah, I'll create a document for you guys in the coming weeks just to go over the exact sort of outline of what we're looking for and what we're expecting to be delivered, how to be delivered and stuff like that. This first few weeks are really just getting people up to scratch with the sort of technical skills that they might need because we're expecting a broad range of people with a diverse range of skills that might not all be technical. But yeah, like if you have any questions regarding exactly what we'll be delivering, I'll hopefully get that document to you soon, or you can shoot me an email and I'm happy to talk you guys through. Okay, I'm going to begin the sharing. You guys see okay? I got a couple messages saying that it was pretty laggy. So we got 5 people on this internet, so it's a bit shit sometimes. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, we're just still waiting for that presentation to pop back up, Ruben.
All good. You're all good. Just give us a thumbs up.
Yeah. Awesome, that's popped up now.
Sweet as. All right, so I should probably also do something. I'm going to send a Google Colab document into the general Slack chat, I believe. And you guys will go through this yourselves after I go through this intro to data cleaning. It's just the general chat. Yeah, so I've sent that through. And then after we go through this, we'll just go through that and I'll be around to help you guys. So, intro to data cleansing. As a data engineer, this is like the bread and butter of DaaS and like data as a service work. Like you need good data essentially. First slide. So why do we cleanse data? The data cleansing is the underlying step that goes into any form of data science, data analytics, or whatnot. The largest teams in a data forward company are definitely the engineering teams. So I started work at EY as a data engineer, and we have about, I think, 500 data engineers to our 1 to 2 data scientists. So the gathering of data, the manipulation of data, and the validity of data is very, very quintessential to anything you do with the data. So this little fancy little diagram on the right, try to talk you guys through that, but it is definitely cheaper in terms of a whole project perspective to make sure your data is right from the start. Because poor data feeding into your models will proliferate everything that you do with that data. And a lot of businesses make decisions based on these data. And if the data that feeds these decisions are wrong, you're going to have, essentially millions of dollars worth of decisions done on poor data. So I can't stress enough, cleansing data is very important for anything you do anywhere ever. Yes, and that point there, in addition to this, all machine learning models are as powerful as the data that is provided to them. Any computer science or machine learning person in this room right now can probably attest to that. Next slide. So the first step sort of in data cleansing, it's sort of like an unwritten rule. You're not going to find it on some intro to data cleansing on the internet, but it's to have a look at the data, just understand what it is you're looking at. Because most of the times data might look similar, but sometimes there are curveballs, especially when you're working with, oh, sorry, I think I've cut out. Can you guys hear me okay? I think I cut out for a second. All good. Yeah, especially when you're dealing with like large clients with multiple data sources, it is very important to understand what you're looking at. Like the data is, oh, sorry, I just got a notification. Oh, it's all good. Yeah, so oftentimes in the workforce, you'll find yourself in two situations where you're either given client data to determine any sort of relevant information or whatnot, and that'll be your exploratory data analysis, or you've been given a specific task, like in this situation, where you have a goal and you know you need to achieve that goal, and you have to go and source the data that will help you reach that. The first part of this project won't be focusing on the second, number two. We just want to get you guys familiarized with the data. So whatever we do in these first 3 weeks is sort of just to get you used to working with our data sets and how we pull and gather data from different sources. The first one we're doing a Google Sheets API just because it's a little bit simpler, and then we'll go on to cloud pulling and cloud storage. So apart from having a good data, first thing you can do, and probably the simplest part, is to get rid of anything you don't need. So after you've had a look at the data and you think, okay, I'm interested in doing so-and-so with this piece of data, you sort of have a general idea of what you do and what you don't need. And that is as simple as deleting some columns, like in this picture here. You might not need column 3, so get rid of it, because especially when you're moving towards extremely large data sets, like billions of rows of data, one column can cost a lot of money to analyze. I'll give you an example. Our data set, we have about 43 billion rows of raw GIS data, and each of that comes appended with multiple join keys, multiple extravagant little information about the data, and analyzing. If we don't drop some of those columns that have sort of extraneous data, it can change the query cost from, I don't know, $30 a query to about a couple hundred. So it's very important to get rid of the data that you don't need, especially working with big data. Next step is handle the null values. So this is something you will definitely get across, especially if you're working with customer data or honestly any form of data. There are going to be null values. And there are a few ways to deal with nulls. there's the shotgun approach, which is to just delete the whole row of data that's missing. And there's the imputation, which is sort of understanding what data is missing and seeing if you can use the knowledge of the data set or previous data or just your knowledge in general to see if you can impute the values. There are specific methods and ways to do data imputation, but for the sake of this purpose, we're not going to go through that because our data set, honestly, you can just handle by deleting some of the data. So, and it's not that big of a deal to do that with mobility and search data because there's a lot of it anyway. So the next thing is to isolate the relevant data. So a lot of the times you'll get a big chunk of data and it will come as a whole, like it'll be a whole table unless you're pulling directly from cloud or you've got a specific SQL query that helps you subset it. If you're getting a big chunk of data from a data engineer, it will have stuff in there that you might not be interested in. So we'll be going over how to subset data in Python. And I will actually end that there because that's sort of where we're at. Can you guys confirm whether or not you have seen the collab link that I sent in the general chat?
Yep, we can see that in the chat, Ruben.
All right, sweet. So initially, Powerone was supposed to go through this with you guys, step-by-step walkthrough. So I'm not across it at this point, but I will be here to sort of explain anything to be explained. But what you're seeing here should have an end-to-end run through of how to pull the data that we've uploaded to a Google Drive onto your PC, and you can feel free to retype this out as well. Like sort of encouraging people to try and do this themselves as well. So not just read the code, but also run through the code and make sure that it's running for you as well. At the time being, I don't think you could do it on your personal, like if you have VS Code or Anaconda or something like that, you might not be able to do this as of yet. But if you use another collab sheet, you can sort of replicate and type it out yourself. But yeah, I'll be here to answer any questions regarding that. Yeah, so if you can just open it up. I'll give you a brief overview as well. So the first section, we sort of go over pulling from the Google Sheets using simple credentials and service accounts, which we'll explain in week 4 what they are in greater detail. And then we're moving on to sort of the things that are covered in the data cleansing part, just like just like cleaning the data, dropping fields, fixing nulls, and a bit of imputation. And then there is an extension activity for those who feel confident in their abilities to do this, because it is a bit simple, especially if you've been doing a computer science degree and been sitting in Python for 4+ years. But yeah, so feel free to go through that. And don't forget, rule number 1, have a look at the data that we've provided you. There's a lot. There's quite a bit of data in the Google Drive. Try not to open too many of those sheets at once, because each of them have around 30 to 60,000 rows of data. And my computer shits itself quite often. So just a word of advice there. I will chuck myself on mute and keep an eye out for any of your questions. just while you guys are working on that, there are also t-shirts. I don't know if you guys seen on the promotional material, but we are giving out some free t-shirts as well for Localis and fans AIML collab fashion. So if you can chuck your name and maybe the size that you were looking to get, we'll try and get them out to you guys. I don't know when we're going to meet in person, but I'll try to figure out how we can get those t-shirts to you guys as well. Probably not by mail, but yeah, if you're in person, we can work on that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll also send a message out on Slack as well. You can just reply to that thread with your sizing as well for shirts as well.
I'm just having a look around. I can see that you guys are primarily done with the collab. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. And yeah, we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys throughout the semester for the project. Cheers.
Awesome. Yeah. So, as Ruben has said, we'll upload all the recordings and everything, including the PowerPoint slides, up to Slack. So look out for that one as well. Cool. Yeah, feel free to leave if you're on Zoom whenever you want. But thanks everyone for coming. We'll see you next week.